Fellow Englishman, fellow football fan, fellow, can I say the word compatriots? Today we're talking to Aiden, also known as Below Trading.
I've never sort of like had a sort of super high paying job or anything like that. So to start making thousands of dollars a day was like an amazing experience. Whenever I go, whatever I'm doing, if I go to the gym or just whatever, my mind's just like charts. And I would say find the right teacher. That's everything. The right teacher is everything, and that can speed up your process dramatically. In this trade, I was going to make 5 figures, so I just instantly just added here, and that's just an absolutely awful ad, way too far away from my risk. Then it started to retrade.
Welcome back to Undiscovered Traders, the podcast that focuses on the charts, stats, and edge, each of the 3 that we'll be going through today, from one of the latest 6-figure traders. Today we're talking to Aiden, also known as Below Trading, if you want to follow him on Kinfo. Fellow Englishman, fellow football fan, fellow, can I say the word compatriots? He's up 177,000. We're going to get into some charts and strategy. Long base trader, so someone to take a note of. How are you, my friend?
Very good, Stephen. I'm very good indeed.
It's unusual. There's not too many of the English around trading the American markets. I've seen a couple, but there's not too many. How on earth did you get into trading? How did you figure out about the US markets? Why are you not trading the FTSE?
Nothing going on there, I don't think. So my introduction, my discovery of trading was really random. I was traveling Thailand, and I was kind of just like open to learning like new ways of getting income remotely. And trading was not on my radar at all. But whilst I was in Thailand, I remember one evening I was lying on my bed in my bungalow watching some YouTube, and just this random video of Stephen Ducks popped up, which was really surprising because I've never watched anything to do with trading before. But I watched this video of him being interviewed, and it just went from there really. I never kind of I know a lot of people have limiting beliefs about trading when they're getting into it. They think either it's a scam or there's no money to be made, but I was quite fortunate in that I didn't really have those limiting beliefs. I just knew it was a real opportunity, and just kind of went from it from there, really.
Yeah, I know. You sound like so many people that I know, and so many people that like, there's so many people like, I know there's that like stereotypical view of like Americans working in these cubicles. Do you know what I mean? Like these little box by box cubicles. And it's in England as well. Like there's so much call center work in England, and people just stuck in solitary jobs, never getting up out of the seats. And like everyone's just like, the world's much smaller these days. Everyone's like, how do we travel the world? How do we see more places? How do you make disposable income? But it's like a pipe dream. But for you, you've done it, right? Because living in Thailand's cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of I've always had a bit of a pull towards freedom, and I don't think that for me isn't only financial, but it can provide certain kind of freedom. So I was always open to sort of seeing what comes along, really, and it just found me at the right time.
So you've made 177K. You've kept the 177K, which is important because you get a lot of people who come in strong markets and then completely fall apart. So like how, just so people have an idea, like were you just naturally, do you have a natural predisposition to trading, or have you just worked endless hours? Like what did a day look like for you when you were really studying?
Just massively overwhelmed when you first start, because you don't have a clue what's going on. But what I can say was there was just this pull that was sort of unbreakable. I just wanted to get as much information, as much knowledge about what was going on as I could. So it was basically wake up, watch any information I could find all day, every day, and in the evenings as well. I couldn't stop devouring as much information as I could get. And to me, it was, you kind of like stop and do something for fun. Like I watch a YouTube video for fun or whatever. I didn't really have that because trading was fun. So I'd be
Right.
looking for the next video to get my fix. So it was, yeah, when it first started and I was studying sort of all the time, that's what it looked like, really.
Well, it's just all day, every day, and that's it.
So that's pretty much, man. Yeah, yeah.
And for how long? How long until something clicked? Saw results.
Well, from when I began, so I would say on my Kinfo, it was connected to it was about 6 months before I started. I was with like some sketchy. Do you remember Shore Trader? I
Yeah,
was with
I
Shore.
remember short traders.
Yeah. I had like I had like $200 in there, and that's about 6 months before I started my Kinfo. So um I think it started to click about a year and a half, maybe a year and a half ish into my trading, when I started to be that I came into like the sort of 2020, 2021 bubble, and
Mhm.
that sped up my learning because there was so much going on. You couldn't help but begin to recognize patterns. So that's when something began to click.
And like how I like how concise and straight you are with your answers, which is I don't know if that's an English thing or not, but like how did it click? Like were you just watching loads of screen time? Were you watching loads of YouTube videos, or was it a mix of everything?
Yeah, I began to understand really one setup. That's what clicked. One setup. I began because the OTC market was hot, and there was a real sort of edge using level two on the OTC market. So I began to understand how to dip by panics on OTCs, and the OTC market was so hot, you couldn't help but recognize the reoccurrence of this pattern. So that's what clicked, and that's when it clicked during the 2021 early months of 2021, because it was hot in 2020. I think the end of 2020, but it was still too new for me. I still didn't really get what was going on. I got there was big moves, but I didn't really get how to trade them.
And so was it just a case of screen time and practice? I mean, you must have only been making a trade a day though, or a trade every few days, or were you making little trades and then when you saw your pattern big trades, or
Yeah, I have to think back now. Yeah, I mean, no, I think I was trading. I was over trading when I first
yeah,
started. I was definitely over trading, and then sort of when I began to understand how to dip buy, I just knew it was time to size up. So, I was really, really cautious when I started. I knew that the market could be dangerous. I knew I could lose. That I kind of felt as though once I understood how to trade, I could size up. I could justify sizing up, but until I could see that, it was too risky to do that. So once I could see that, well, actually, I know how to dip by OTCs, then I began to size up and make some quite decent money quite quickly.
very nice. Do you want to bring up your profit chart on Kinfo? I'm curious just to see where you had this spike, how you managed it, and how you've managed to maintain your profits because a lot of people a lot of people and you'll see when you bring up your chart, but a lot of people make money and just lose it. And we're up with Aiden below trading's profit chart here, and we're going to take a little look through it. And what's interesting for me is I see that you've had this. I mean, let's just talk through it. So, talk me through October, November. Is that when you had? Is this when you were dip buying the OTCs?
Yeah, so like I say, I started here. It says May 2020, but I was with some sketchy offshore broker before for 6 months before then. And then around, you can see it start to increase towards mid 2020. And then towards the end of 2020, I really began to feel like I had a good solid understanding of how to dip my OTC. So I added money to my account, and that's kind of over the next, I don't know, 6 months, is that? I ended up, I think, up what was the most? I was up about 220,000. So that was a pretty exciting time, to be honest with you, those 6 months. Uh, yeah. I've never sort of, like, had a sort of super high and paid job or anything like that, so to start making thousands of dollars a day was, like, an amazing, amazing experience. I was quite fortunate as well during this time because, I think I mentioned to you before that I was traveling Thailand, and because I was away so often, I ended up renting out my house, and when I'd come back, I'd stay with family. So during this time, I was staying with family, and I got to sort of share that whole experience of making money with them. So yeah, it sort of increased the sort of joy of it by about 1,000,000% really. So um, but yeah, after that time, when the market changed, I um can be quite open and honest in saying that I didn't have the experience, both technically and in terms of emotional management, to uh, manage such a large account or um, adapt to a completely different market. So the next year was quite a big drawdown. I ended up giving back about 65K.
Yeah.
And it was at that point, I was still up, 160,000, which is obviously good. But at that point, I kind of realized, look, if I don't change something, this drawdown is just going to continue and continue. So I ended up withdrawing the majority of what I had in my account and just said, look, I need to go back to basics, um, and sort of find a new teacher that can teach me what I want to learn. And over the next year or so, you can see I'm quite flat in my profit curve. And that's during this time I'm kind of trying out different teachers, but nothing. I found some great teachers, but nothing really fit with me. I wanted to learn to long listed stocks.
Mm.
And then eventually I landed on Roland Wolf back in December. So around here, December
Wow.
2023. And since then, can't really see it on this chart, but I've begin growing my account quite steadily. I found consistency again, up to, yeah, I've made about, I don't know, 14, 15K over the last year or so. So consistency has come back, and now it's a case of continuing to learn and continuing to size up. Um, yeah, I feel like I can justify that now. The teachings I've got from Roland are absolutely exceptional, and everything, all the information I was kind of like searching for is right there. So yeah, couldn't be happier.
No, it's I know, like, we already spoke. I know Roland well, and I don't really know anyone else who I don't know anyone who like I know is verified and legit. Like, it's like, with like the whole reason that we do Kinfo is because you want to see people verified, so it's not someone saying that they can trade and then they don't have any records, right? But I know Roland as well. Roland's not on Kinfo, but I know I've seen his profit lean, and I've seen some of his I know him well enough to believe him. Do you know what I mean? I haven't seen broker
Yeah,
statements,
yeah.
but I know him well enough to know that he's legit because I've hung out with him in person a few times. But I've seen a lot of success stories from Roland as well. So you're like another one. Uh,
Yeah, get in there, get in there. It's been the catalyst for my change in trading. And I speak to him every day, and the success I'm having is down to what I'm learning from him. So yeah, no doubt the guy's legit.
but now it's showing in your profits. But we'll go into some things. But I mean, I think one thing that separates you from a lot of people is the fact that you've stayed in the game, because like you must have some level of discipline. I'm not sure where you're getting that from, because how many people would have just like got pissed off at losing 70 grand and just started taking big swings to get all-time highs, taking big long positions and losing it all. But how is your discipline? Like, how have you managed to maintain your discipline to not mess this up? Because
Well, this year drawdown was a lack of discipline. This was a real downward spiral. It got to the point where there was just this realization: if I don't stop, I'm going to lose everything that I've worked for, and that scared me. That really, really
Mm.
scared me. But it took me I had to get to that point in order to withdraw from my account, and the withdrawing of my account and switching to a cash account were key in stabilization and now growth. Because when I was in this downswing and I wasn't with a cash account, so I could just trade as much as I possibly wanted to. I would sort of go on these. I would start chasing gains and lose my discipline. And yeah, that's if there's anybody out there who struggles with discipline, is in that sort of over trading space. There's In my experience, there's no worst place to be as a trader. It's really dangerous. And the best thing that helped me was switching to a cash account. And I think from my perspective, it doesn't matter how much, how big my account, how big I grow my account. I think I'll always keep it as a cash account just to save me in case I lose my head. It's like a fail-safe mechanism.
No, but I think that, I mean, it's tough because people will say, "Well, it's so difficult to grow a small account. Don't ever size down too much." But like, I remember I had a really, really good run in the markets at the same time as you, and my equity curve looked like yours. And when I started losing money, I just pulled it all out and bought an apartment with it. And if I hadn't have bought the apartment, I think I would have lost it all. To be honest, I'm quite sure I would have lost it all. And now every time I go into my apartment, it's rented right now. I think, yeah, trade and pay for this. I'm not that much of a loser. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, and for you, like, what have you done? Have you put it in like an interest savings, or you've just kept it tucked away? Or
No, I mean, I've got, I've got some in my bank account, and I did pay a large amount of tax on that, and I did live off it for a few years. So it's not the 160,000 or anything close to that as what it was. Um, but I'm still okay. I've still got money in my bank. I've got a nice little cushion. And the money that I did leave in my E-Trade account is now, I've built that up. I've grown it about 200%. So I proved to myself that I can do this. The consistency's there. Like I said before, it's just a case of continuing to learn and sizing up when it's appropriate to do so.
but for me, you've shown incredible discipline to recover from this, and obviously these last few years has been switching from OTC to listed, and you've successfully made the transition. So it looks like you're ready for your next curve up. I'd love to see some charts. I don't know if you've got any from the old OTC days, just for the memory. If not, would love to see what you're doing on the listed side, what Roland's been teaching you.
I don't have any from the list from the OTC land. That was too long ago. I could probably fish some out if I had a bit more time, but for now, I think I'll just go into the listed. So, um, right. So a few trades that I've made recently. This one being the first one. Can you see that chart?
Yeah, PSTV, yeah.
Yeah. So I play one of my favorite long bias setups is First Green Day. I think Tim Grattani in his DVD Trading Tickers 2 calls it reversal long or long reversal. So yeah, this would be a good example of a first green day. So what I'm looking for in a first green day, well, firstly, I want to see that I want to see an initial strong run up from the stock. So you can see here, PSTV goes from a low of 24 all the way up to a high of uh 231. So what's that? It's close to 1,000%, I think,
It's
something like that.
outrageous move, yeah.
100%. So that, and on good volume as well, it's done 359 million shares. So when a stock makes a move like this, if I do miss the initial run up, it's certainly going to be on my radar for a first green day, which is basically a bounce after the stock's had a strong run and it's had a decline. So if we switch to the intraday, let's switch to the 5-minute chart. So we can see here that this is the run up, had a push pre-market and then just a huge, huge, huge run. So what I'm looking for is this nice drop here, a retracement. Now this retracement is, let me see, roughly about 50% off its high. So it's made a nice retracement. What I'm looking for is a bounce. So I'm trying to identify a level where I can think that can bounce from. And we can see here, it touches this level like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then pre-market has a little push, suggesting that, this might be the bounce day. I don't want to chase it here. I want to buy it as close to this level here as possible, as that's going to be my risk, which is the lowest point of the retracement. See here, pre-market, it touches it nicely. So I'm getting in around here. I think I got in about 129, risking 125. So, 4 cents, 4 cents risk, and just sold. I put these levels on as possible profit targets. So off this level here, off this level here, and off this level here, and just sold into each of them. I think my best sell was, I think, like 170-ish, I think. Can't quite remember. So I missed this secondary leg up. But you do have to be a little bit cautious with first green days, because they are most of the time backside moves. But nice bit of range there. 126 to 190. So good risk reward, only risking 4 cents for a possible, what's that? 65 cents. Yeah.
The thing is though, like when you like hindsight trading, right? When you look at this chart in hindsight, it's the most obvious thing in the world. It's like the most obvious thing in the world when you look at it in hindsight. Like clear support, clear support. But when you're not hindsight trading, like obviously you've traded it live, so it's completely different. You have the skill to see it in the future. But for everyone looking at this in hindsight, it looks easy, but it's not, because otherwise everyone would do it. But like, how are you differentiating? How are you saying? Are you just accepting that it might be a backside move? Are you accepting that you might get faked out a bunch of times? Because end of the day, this is a trash company. It's gone all the way up. You expect that it's already sold off a bunch and it's just going to go all the way back down to 20 cents. So are you just accepting it's going back to 20 cents? You're going to get faked out a bunch of times. It could be the backside move, but your risk is so tight that you might get that push and the risk reward's worth it.
Yeah, I'm accepting that the probability is on my side for this to bounce,
Yeah.
because I've seen this happen so many times. And then I'm accepting that I might lose a few cents a share. Like that's the game. But the odds for this having a bounce are quite high. But it is, when you're in or around here, it is it does play with your emotions. You do think, is it going to crack? Is it going to be a lot of slippage? I do come across those kind of thoughts and emotions, but trading, everything is like inverse in trading. So when that feeling of like, oh no, it's going to go lower, generally that's the time to right time to
It's
buy.
going to go
And then,
higher.
mate, that's the time when you want to be selling, when people are like, oh, it's going to go to the moon, like sell into that strength. Um, so yeah, kind of with this is my favorite long buy setup. I've just seen it so many times that I'm quite comfortable with it.
Yeah, and I've spoke to had the privilege of interviewing a few market makers, and I can't remember. I interviewed a guy who worked for Bank of America, and he was telling us about some people that work for Citibank. And like these market makers are literally the job is to make markets. To make markets, you need liquidity. And these guys are just saying exactly the same thing. They're just completely managing and maintaining the levels. So if they drop it down to the support level, they know that they're going to get a bunch of shorts to come in just so they can rip it up. So when the inverse happens, I can't help but think it's market makers making markets getting liquidity to
Yeah.
because they can make small amounts of money through the individual transactions, getting in and out really fast. So I think when you talk about the inverse, I think it's a lot of that's some of the market makers messing around.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because that will just add to my conviction on this setup. It's not only the setup, but doing the inverse, because when it is down here and it looks like it's going to break support, everything in me is saying like short it or get out because it's going to flush. But that's when you should be buying. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, trading's tough. It's tough to manage that. It's tough to sort of detach from that and just continue doing everything that your body says you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, no, and I think it's good that if you're with if you're with a broker where you don't have the possibility to short, it stops you from flipping buys as well, which is like almost a good thing, because you don't want to get the worst thing in the world is to go long, get stopped out, go short, get stopped out, and then go long again, and then it drops.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing in the world. But it's a nice pattern. It's an interesting pattern. I completely see what you're looking for. Are you looking for any other kind of signs, catalyst? Doesn't matter if it's got news. Are you looking for a pre-market move first to look for the long move? Are you looking for a double bottom on the intraday, anything like that, or is it a feel for?
So there can be, though I can show you One often a really good sign that it's going to bounce is when you see like a little pre-market pop and a little bit
Yeah.
volume early. I know it's done it here, but the sort of yeah, you can be forgiven for taking that really. But yeah, there is often a sign that it has a little move and then it retraces. Um, but if these companies knew what they were doing, more of them would PR for a first screen day right at the right time because it
Yeah.
sets up perfectly. And on occasion, you do see the PR just perfectly timed, and then it just has a massive rip. Um, but yeah, obviously that's out of my hands. But yeah, when that happens, it's extra sweet. But generally, what I'm looking for is just some basing action, possibly a pop off the basing. But if it's not, just I want to get in as close to that as possible, really.
And do you have the discipline to wait for it? Do you have the discipline to wait for those levels? Patiently wait.
Depends on the day. Most of the time, yes. Most of the time, yes. But would you like me to give you an example when I didn't? Because that's
Yes, yeah. Sure. Let's go through it.
this was. Let me think. I don't know if I can remember the ticker now. Yeah, so this one was an example of when I lost my discipline. So if we go to the 15-minute chart. So, okay, let's start with the daily chart. So this was a really, really strong run up going from 26 cents all the way to 3.48. So this, again, you can see the similarity with PSTV that this is the kind of strong run up with high volume that I'm looking for in terms of looking for a bounce. Now, if we go to the 15-minute chart, okay. This, maybe even 5-minute chart would be better. Okay, so we can see here again, really strong run up, high volume. Often what we see is a huge drop off in volume, which
Yeah.
is important because that kind of sets the stage for a liquidity trap, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so for anybody who doesn't know what that means is that shorts are sizing in on these days based on the liquidity on that day. So if there's a huge drop off in volume, shorts can't get out big size without pushing the price higher. So that's often, coincides with a first green day. So this stock here is an example of when I just FOMO got me, didn't stick to my plan, and ended up taking quite a sizable loss, even though my thesis was correct. Now, so what we can see here is a drop from 350 all the way down to 120, which is a nice retracement from its highs. Pretty clean retracement as well, given that, it didn't have a bounce on this day or this day. It was just nice, clean retracement. And then on this day, 8th of Jan, we can see here it has a pop pre-market, which tells me this is likely going to be the bounce day. Now, I'd been really waiting for this and I sort of really wanted to size in big for it. And so when I saw this move, that's quite a nice move, 118 up to 170.
Huge.
I can't sorry. Yeah, it's a nice move. And so FOMO got me and I was like, oh, it's gone without me. It's gonna any retracement I'm gonna buy. But I know that I need to be risking off this level here. So I didn't chase that. But I waited. I couldn't actually. I probably would have because I was with E-Trade, so I couldn't trade till 7. So when it opened, I started in around here, and that's fine because this might not reach my risk level. So that's cool. But I need to size in, accepting that if this retraces, I need to be willing to take that loss. I sized in a bit too big here, and then when the market opened, because I was going for a really big win on this one, I looked at my P&L and I was up about 1,000. And then in this trade, I was going to make 5 figures. So I just instantly just added here. And that's just an absolutely awful ad, way too far away from my risk. Then it started to retrace and I just started adding on like random levels. And then when it broke my risk level only by a couple of cents, I was just like, I just panicked and I was just like, whoa, I'm down sort of. I was down, I think 1,500 at that point. I thought, this, in my head, this was going to keep going and keep going. So I just cut, had no more cash in my account, and then just had to sit there and just be like, I was quite chilled. I was willing to take a big loss on it. But what we can see afterwards is key. It came down to this risk level. It couldn't really break it. It tried again, couldn't break it, and then get rid of this. Reclaimed the low of the pre-market low of 119 perfectly. And that is the telltale sign that this is the bounce day. So it's had the pre-market pop. It's retraced. It's tried to break the low. Couldn't really, reclaimed. And then it has this grind up and then short start covering. And then bang, we have this pop. And that is, I don't know, what's that, like 120% move or 130% move, something like that. So really, really nice range on that one. But yeah, I took a big loss on something that was correct on, simply because I didn't manage my emotions correctly.
What did you do that day to get over it? 'Cause
I
it's
was
so
quite chilled. I was quite chilled, to be honest with you. I knew before that I was willing to take a big loss on it. So the loss wasn't so bad. And but I was kind of like, I was a bit disappointed to see. I knew at this point when it was doing this, I was like, this is I knew what had happened. So yeah, I was all right. I felt worse. The big drawdown a couple of years ago, I felt a lot worse then, mate.
but still, but I see common characteristics of traders who make it and traders who don't. And if that was me and I thought I was going to make 10 or 15 grand and I lost 1,500, to only lose, I might have drank a quarter of a bottle of whiskey. I might
Yeah.
have to get over it. But for you to say, just a little, I was okay about it. I was a little bit disappointed. It shows to me the personality traits of someone who should be a trader, because your emotions, you've been through worse, you can handle it, you're not self-destructing, you've got through it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I have other things that I struggle with. I know why. I know why you say that, because it's a big missed opportunity. But there are other emotional things that I do sort of find more difficult.
In trading?
Yeah, I struggle to switch off from trading, and that's a problem. It's a really big problem for me. I mentioned to you earlier that I might go to Thailand for 3 months just so I'm not around the computer, because whenever I go, whatever I'm doing, if I go to the gym or just whatever, my mind's just like charts, charts, charts. And that takes a real impact on my body, because when you're visualizing a chart and how you're going to play it, how you're going to play the stock, your body thinks it's real. So your body's reacting as if you're still trading, and that constant adrenaline is quite dangerous.
So you've actually, you've become so obsessive and so emotionally involved in it that it can have a detrimental impact to your health. Oh, it hasn't yet, but you feel like it could.
It's beginning to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel like tired a bit more, exhausted a bit more, fatigued or anything like that, or
Just feel like certain sort of tightness in my body. Yeah.
Christ. But the thing is, though, it's like the best people in the world competing against each other. Like, you've got to be crazy to make it. You've got to be crazy. You've got to be crazy and obsessed to make it.
Well, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
price. Look at Jack Kellogg. It's the price. It's the price you've got to pay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
But
no,
it's still
everything should
something
be
that
done
I enjoy.
healthily. Go on.
Yeah, it is. It is. And trading is one of those things that the kind of gains you can make from it. You can take months off at a time once you reach that level. So, that's the plus side of it. So, yeah.
But and that this pattern comes around once every 6 weeks, once every 5 weeks. In a good market, maybe there's 3 of them in a week, but there's none in a month. So you've got other patterns, other trades in between, or
Yeah, there's loads of different patterns that I trade. I can pull up another example in
yeah.
a moment.
Let's do one more if you want. Let's do one more, and then I'm just conscious of your time. We'll go through one more, a different pattern, and then I'll put a few questions to close out with you.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Okay, so I would say also that there are certain patterns that I will go to that I sort of have studied, but I'll also trade things that haven't necessarily studied, just because when you're in front of the screen for so long and you are in the flow of the market, you just begin to recognize what's working at that moment in time. And so I'll adapt to that. And yeah, that's one of the best feelings when for me when I'm trading is that when I'm just really in that flow, and you just conviction comes from that because all the stocks are behaving in the same way. Once you're in tune with that, and you just begin to see it occurring somewhere else, and you just jump on board with that. And this is actually an example of that. So this SUNE is something I traded recently. I think I made, what did I make? About 1,200 on this, I think. So what's happening at the moment is so this isn't something I would look for, but it's an example of just how the stock market works in terms of what's working and when. So at the moment, what we're seeing is stocks that have had recent offerings have a big gap down, and then they have a spike afterwards. So that's the crazy world that we're in. Um, this was the big spike day, but I didn't play it on this day simply because, it was just a after hour spike, pre-market spike, and then failed all day. But I did notice it on my scanner. And because I noticed it on my scanner, uh, on this day here, I decided that I was going to play it as a breakout. Okay. Now, going back to what I was saying before about first green days, this would be the stock's first green day. But I wouldn't look for a first green day on a run up that's been this week. So it wasn't something I was more than happy to miss this day. So on the breakout day, what gave me conviction to trade this as a breakout was HMR. So HMR had a breakout the day before SUNE. And I had seen, so this is the day one, this is the third day surge, this is the breakout day / day two continuation. So I missed this whole move, but I was very much aware of what was going on with it. But I didn't see a good entry. I just missed it. But it was in my radar. So when I saw SUNE, let's go to the 5-minute chart. So this is the day one move, and then it just fails. This is the first green day. Then I noticed this on my scanner when it popped up pre-market. And because I saw it on this day, I recognized the ticker, jumped onto the chart, and I could see, and I recognized, I noticed it on my scanner when it was about here, about 9 o'clock. Now, in terms of playing this as a breakout, I think what a lot of traders will do is the breakout level is up here at 52 cents. Okay, this is pre-market. And a lot of traders will be sort of buying the breakout around here. But for me, there's not very good risk reward there. So I want to look at buying this stock at a break of a key level, which is lower down, which is going to give me better risk reward. And that key level in this instance is the high of the first green day. And we can see here, that's why it's topping out here. Okay, because it is a key level. Then when we have this break of it, this is when I begin to notice it. This level was already drawn on, fortunately, on my chart. Not sure why, but I could see that this was the key level. I need to get in around here in anticipation of this breakout. I want to sell a piece, well, all along the way, definitely into the breakout level, and hold a piece on in case it breaks out. So when the market opened, I could see it had a little pull. I can see on level 2 and tape that it was firm. So got in around here and then just sold all the way up. I think my best sell was just over 60 cents. So that's how I played that to breakout.
This reminds me of how Roland both trades, because Roland's drawn us a few. I say Roland's trades, and I've talked to him a few times in the past. And this is a Roland both-esque. Is this something from his room, or is this just your styles influenced him by, or is this something you knew in the past?
So I haven't really. Everything I do now, long biased, is influenced by Roland because
Yeah.
I've absorbed so much of what he said. I haven't spoken to him much about breakouts, but definitely definitely I have heard him say there's no risk reward here, buying near highs, buying the breakout. That's not the place to buy. So the fact I'm looking for a lower key level, yeah, it would be based on what I've learned from Roland, I guess.
Yeah, it's more the fact of buying nearer to the lows, not buying the tops, not buying the breakout so high, buying more of the bottoms. uh the crazy risk rewards, like because you're looking what's your risk reward you're looking for typically?
I don't really have a typical risk reward, to be honest with you. I'll just look at it and just see if it is good risk reward or not. I don't have like a one two, one to three, or something like that.
You're not going for 2 to 1. I can see you're not going for 2 to 1. You're not going for 2 to 1. You go for like 10 to 1.
That's what
You
I
go
mean.
10 to 1, 15 to 1.
Yeah, no, I just want that risk as tight as possible, and then like the upside exponential. So I'm not thinking about, is it 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1. I just want like a 2 cents risk and like $25 upside.
You're looking for an explosive move with as little risk as possible, yeah. And
Yeah.
what you mustn't have too big a winning percentage. I know, but generally longs, I say winning percentages between 40 and 50. I'm not sure how often are you winning.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. On Kinfo, because that tracks my stats from so long ago, my win percent will be a lot lower than it actually is now. Not that it would be particularly high now compared to a short, but back in the day with a big account and over trading, yeah, those stats would be quite off.
No, but it's just interesting to know because say if your win percent is 40%, it's okay to lose more than you win when you've got the
Mhm.
risk reward on your side. I can see you keep your risk tight and you have really crazy risk reward. So it's okay if you win the rate's 35%, you can still make 200 grand. And like that's really good. I appreciate the charts. I appreciate the analysis. Some nice patterns, some nice good examples of risk reward. I just want to ask you, if you had to start all over again, it's a common question a lot of people ask, but it's a good question. If you had to start all over again, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
Well, I can go one better perhaps because my sister's recently started, and so I'm giving her advice. And what I said to her was, um, don't expect to make any money in your first year, and start with as little money as you possibly can and expect to lose it. That's your prices of education. Whatever you start with, you're likely to lose. Once you can see consistency in terms of percent gain, then you can size up safely.
Do you think she'll make
Yeah.
it?
Sorry?
You think she'll make it?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I've seen a lot of people, you never know, you never know, but, I've seen a lot of people, especially when I was making money, so many people were asking me, about trading and how to start and stuff like that, and, often people think they want to do trading until they start it, and the reality of it's very different. But with her, um, she's always been sort of into it anyway. The way she's applying herself, she's just got that thirst for the interest in, like, wow, she can see it, she can see the opportunity. So she is very new, but her understanding has increased quite a lot. Um, so that's some of the things that I shared with her, and probably the other thing I would say, to somebody is, in addition to start with as little money as you can, I would say find the right teacher. That's everything. The right teacher is everything, and that can speed up your process dramatically.
Obviously, right.
You don't know what the right teacher is when you start. That's the problem.
No. Then there's so many, and you don't know which ones are legit and which ones aren't, or which ones are just all in it for to do with the marketing, and which ones are in it because they're actual real traders. You need to find someone who's a legit day-to-day trader, but actually gives a shit about the education as well. And like that's really hard to find that. And that's one of the reasons Kinfo is set up. And hopefully we'll Roland Wolf's the second star of this Kinfo episode. So hopefully we'll get him on and we'll give him a mention and we'll get him verified somewhere along the line. Love to have him on Kinfo as well. But if and the other thing is why did you make it? And by the way, when I say make it, I don't mean $1 million. I mean like anyone who makes six figures, anyone who makes 100 grand, like 100 grand's life changing in England. Like I bought an apartment with the money I made for 100 grand. Like 100 grand, I don't know about America, it's life changing in England. So that for me is making it. So why have you made it in trading and you look like you're on your next leg up and others don't?
Well, I think, again, I don't feel like I've made it. Firstly, I feel still like I'm sort of at the beginning of my journey. Well, not at the beginning, but like kind of, yeah, I'm regaining some consistency, which
Yeah.
is great. But I wouldn't say I've made it. But why I'd say why I've achieved what I've achieved. I think it's because the main thing is, I mean, it's interest. I'm interested in it. I like it. That's definitely the main thing for me, because when you're interested in something, you just do it. You know, you're not bothered about any obstacles. You just go through it. But like, I wouldn't even call it a failure rate, because what is failure? Do you know what I mean? A lot of people start trading, realize it's not for them. Fair enough. I won't call that failure. You got to try new things to find out. But let's say that the failure rate is so low, so high, because barriers to entry are so low. Barriers to entry are so low when you want to trade. All you got to do is download an app and you're a trader. But for me, um, the interest, the pull towards it was just so strong that I was just willing to go through whatever I needed to go through, and I could see like clearly that this is real. There's opportunity there.
Oh, but and like great job for sticking in, because you did what I didn't do. But I was the opposite of you. I made I got over 100 grand in profits. I was playing golf in the sun one day, up 103 grand on my account, thinking, oh, I've made it. And then I lost like 30 grand a couple of weeks later. And then I still haven't recovered. So I think I love your humble attitude, and the difference. What most impresses me is when you start, a lot of people can find one pattern and make money on it, but not a lot of people can adapt to different market conditions. And when you're starting to spot random nuances and patterns in the market because you're that obsessed about it, that to me is the signal of someone who's one level above the person who can just find one pattern and make some money, and then they get stuck. Do you know what I mean? But I'll thank you for your time. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks for being transparent. And we'll close out there.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thank you.